Why do some people never celebrate their birthdays? It's not sadness or indifference. It's a mindset of wisdom, self-control, and quiet fulfillment. While most chase attention and gifts, they find meaning in every single day. Today we'll uncover the psychology of people who skip birthdays and why their approach to life is secretly far richer than most of ours. They see time through a Stoic lens. For most people, a birthday is a reminder of how old they are and how many years have passed. But for people who don't celebrate, time isn't something to keep track of. It's something to live for. Marcus Aurelius remarked in Meditations, "Don't act like you're going to live for 10,000 years. You are about to die. Be good while you live and can." People who don't celebrate their birthdays think this way. They know that character, not candles, should mark time. They don't seek the idea of surviving another year. Instead, they treat each day as if it were just as valuable. They see birthdays as just numbers that signify the passage of time. What they do with the days they already have is more important. Their sense of significance doesn't come from a date. It comes from living with purpose every day. They live with quiet intensity, not because they are afraid of dying, but because they have a lot of regard for life. Every morning is a party for them. Marcus Aurelius knew that counting birthdays doesn't signify anything if you don't live the life behind those years. He said, "A man should not be afraid of death, but of never starting to live." People who treat their birthday like any other day know this truth without thinking about it. They don't count years. They count times when they were honest, clear-headed, and grew. They don't see the point in making one date on the calendar more important than the others, when every day is a chance to do the right thing. For them, time is not a straight line. It is an experience. Someone can live for 60 years and never really live. Another person, on the other hand, can live for 30 years with full consciousness, depth, and gratitude, and that is a much richer life for them. So birthdays become random stops along the way. They don't need to mark progress because their advancement is in their minds. They don't count how long they've lived. They count how well they've lived. Seneca said it best in On the Shortness of Life. "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." People who don't celebrate their birthdays have learnt this well. They witness how easy it is for society to praise surviving above living, and how individuals are so focused on accumulating years that they forget to make those years meaningful. They don't care about getting to another birthday. They care about making sure that every day between them wasn't wasted on regret, comparison, or distraction. They could smile silently when they wake up on their birthday, but not because they expect a party. They know something that most people don't, that every sunrise is a gift that they don't deserve. They know that life doesn't owe them another day, and that makes them feel small. It makes you quietly, almost sacredly, appreciate modest dinners, small talks, and regular mornings. This way of thinking derives from the Stoic practice of memento mori, which means remember death. It's not morbid, it's awakening. Epictetus said that the best way to live well is to remember death. He said, "You are a small soul carrying a dead body," a reminder that life is precious and should be experienced in the moment, not as a show. Not celebrating their birthday doesn't mean they're sad. It just means they don't need it anymore to prove they're alive. Because they know they will die, they have a deeper celebration that happens quietly every day. They know that the meaning of life can't be summed up in one event. When you just celebrate once a year, you forget to remember all the little things that make you who you are. The Stoics thought that virtue, not pleasure, is what made life worth living. And these folks have such knowledge in their heads. Their celebration is in being able to control themselves, hold back, and be at peace. They practice being patient instead of proud, peaceful instead of angry, and thankful instead of greedy every day. People who are stuck in the loop of waiting for the next milestone, the next year, the next success, the next event, are quietly living in the present. They won't let the future give them significance. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Stay in the present." That's exactly what they do. They know that every day spent with awareness is a birthday, a new beginning in the present moment. And this is what makes them different. They don't need candles to remind them that time is passing, or applause to remind them that they are worth something. Their lives is already their ritual. Their quiet is their way of celebrating. Another year has gone by, and that doesn't mean you should seek attention. Instead, it should inspire you to stay humble and keep walking with purpose, discipline, and calm. Their calm lack of interest in birthdays is not indifference. It's wisdom. It's the understanding that the real measure of a life is not the number of years lived, but the number of moments experienced with genuine vitality. They avoid empty attention. People who don't celebrate their birthdays frequently don't appreciate being in the public eye, especially when it feels forced or fake. Facebook claims they don't want people to remember them once a year. They prioritize real connections over social performance. Epictetus stated, "Love if you want to be loved." This is exactly how these folks work. They think that love, appreciation, and connection should be part of everyday life, not just one day full of hollow gestures. This way of thinking is an example of real introversion. They don't want to be alone. They want to go deeper. Modern celebrations with their loud, showy displays, images, status posts, and fake well-wishes all feel empty to them. They don't turn down celebrations because they're proud or unhappy. They don't want it because they know that noise without significance is just noise. They'd rather have a deep, calm talk than 100 meaningless birthday wishes. Epictetus said that you shouldn't try to be admired. Rather, you should try to be worthy of admiration. People who skip birthdays live by this without saying anything. They don't mind compassion or affection. They just don't trust things that seem fake or short-lived. To them, saying happy birthday out of duty sounds more like noise than compassion. It's not being cynical, it's being clear. They want honesty in a world that cares more about looks. People say, "Tell others about yourself so they remember you," and they reply, "If I have to remind them to care, it's not real care." They want partnerships where being there is more important than doing well, and where love doesn't need a date to be shown. This attitude shows a strong craving for real connection on a psychological level. People like this usually have a lot of emotional intelligence and can spot dishonesty from a mile away. They can tell when love is real and when it's just a habit. They don't like love on social media because they see how it cheapens emotions and turns something private into something public. Seneca once remarked, "One man is as important to me as a lot of people, and a lot of people are only as important to me as one man." That's how these people think. They don't need a lot of people to agree with them. A single honest buddy who remembers them without being told matters more than hundreds of digital pleasantries. They'd rather be recognized well by a few people than just by a lot of people. This reluctance to seek attention also arises from an awareness of ego. Marcus Aurelius said, "Ambition means linking your happiness to what other people say or do." The birthday ceremony, with its spotlight, validation, and expected attention, is a great way to boost your ego. But a Stoic individual has learned to not trust the ego's need. They know how easy it is to get hooked on praise, being seen, and feeling special, and they see how that need makes the soul weaker. You are free when you no longer need to be liked. You get your calm back when you stop wanting acceptance. That's the freedom they preserve by not letting birthdays happen. This doesn't imply they aren't happy or warm. They do love passionately, but they don't show it. They might not talk about their relationships online, but they'll be there when it counts. They might not want things, but they will offer a lot when someone else needs support. Others can't see their affection, but those who are close to them may feel it intensely. They also know that attention doesn't last long. Today, happy birthday can turn into quiet tomorrow. They don't run after attention that goes away. Instead, they invest in devotion that lasts. Real love and real friendship don't need to be reminded or celebrated. Epictetus told his students that we can't change what other people think, only what we do that is good. So when someone ignores their birthday, it's not because they're angry. It's because they want to be in charge. It says, "I don't want my happiness to depend on who remembers me." That shows a lot of emotional control. They would rather stay out of sight than be unfairly praised. They would rather be loved softly, consistently, and truly than get a round of applause once a year from people who won't remember them the next day. And maybe the biggest paradox is that they are so rare because they don't want attention. They've decided to be real in a world that wants to be noticed. They're detached from consumer culture. In today's world, birthdays are sold as small celebrations of buying things. Gifts, restaurants, parties, and posts are all part of a show. But those who don't celebrate their birthdays typically break this cycle. Not being interested isn't revolt. It's prudence. Seneca once said, "The poor man is not the one who has too little, but the one who wants more." They don't want presents, attention, or praise. They have a lot of self-satisfaction. They convey without words, "I don't need outside things to feel happy. by enjoying their birthday like any other day. This is a kind of minimalist self-sufficiency in terms of psychology. Their value is not based on material recognition. They find comfort in simple things, happiness in little things, and pride in knowing themselves. For them, not celebrating a birthday isn't losing something. It's saying no to what society says happiness should look like. In today's world, consumer culture has taken over birthdays. What used to be a quiet way to remember life has become a place for people to show off. The parties, the candles, and the Instagram pictures are no longer about celebrating life. They're about showing it off. But people who don't celebrate their birthdays are the quiet rebels of this time. Their lack of interest isn't cynicism. It's a type of enlightenment. They've realized that the illusion is just a loop of short-lived thrill that inevitably ends in nothingness. Seneca's words ring true here. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Those who don't celebrate their birthdays have stopped wanting. They've figured out that every want, whether it's for a present, attention, or validation, ties the mind to something outside of itself. And as soon as you rely on something outside of yourself to feel good or worthwhile, you give up control over your tranquility. These people take back that control by not taking part in the performance. Their quiet is not grief. It is power. This distance frequently comes from a clear mind, the realization that happiness and contentment come from being able to take care of oneself. Marcus Aurelius said, "The quality of your thoughts determines how happy you are." People who have accepted this fact don't perceive the need to seek approval through material things. They feel good about themselves because they are honest and grateful every day. They don't need anyone else to believe in them. They live in harmony with themselves, not with what others want them to do. Epictetus also warned against the trap of needing other people's approval. He stated, "Being rich doesn't mean having a lot of things. It means having few wants." People who don't celebrate their birthdays live by this rule. They now know that true wealth comes from needing very little, not getting a lot. They've broken free from the world's relentless nagging to buy this, post that, prove your worth. Not listening to such noise is a silent act of Stoic resistance. It's a promise that they won't be slaves to trends or attention. This way of thinking is based on what modern psychologists call minimalist self-sufficiency, which is the idea that one's happiness does not depend on having too many stuff or too many friends. People like this often have more stable emotions, less anxiety, and a better sense of self. Their pleasure isn't fragile. It doesn't depend on how much money people spend on gifts or whether they remember their birthday. It is based on self-awareness, or the idea that the ultimate value of life is not in celebration, but in constancy, discipline, and inner peace. On a deeper level, their detachment is a form of spiritual exercise. Every missed birthday is a way to free yourself, a gentle way to let go. By not taking part in the rituals of excess that come with consumer culture, they are teaching their minds to be calm in the face of all the noise in the world. Like Stoics, they know that freedom doesn't come from having a lot of money. It comes from not wanting anything. It's not about saying no to pleasure. It's about not needing it. They might nevertheless rejoice in their own quiet way, perhaps by thinking about it, instead of throwing a party or posting about it. They might sit quietly, write in a notebook, or walk outside, aware that life is short and that existence is beautiful. Their real celebration is that basic realization that life is short and valuable. They show respect for their lives not by being around people or things, but by getting closer to their goal. They are what the Stoics called apatheia when they are still. This doesn't mean they are apathetic. It means they are free from superfluous passions. They don't run for pleasure or away from misery. They are at peace with what is and happy with the little things. They don't think that skipping birthdays means abandoning happiness. They think it means changing it. They know that real happiness is silence. It comes from the tranquility that comes when you don't need the world to tell you that your life is worth living. While other people blow out candles and upload pictures, they just breathe and live. Their peaceful detachment becomes a silent philosophy, like Stoicism itself. They don't rejoice another year gone by. They celebrate another day well lived. The actual gift for them isn't something wrapped in paper or given to them by someone else. It's the ability to control their minds that makes them feel whole without anything at all. They have a deep relationship with time and memory. Some people don't see birthdays as happy recollections. They see them as emotional triggers. Maybe a loved one has died, Maybe the year didn't go as planned, or maybe they just don't see the value of looking back on the year. This avoidance isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of selective emotional intelligence. It means knowing what to let go of and what to keep. Birthdays, in their most basic form, are reminders of all the things we can't change. As Epictetus taught us to focus only on what we can change. We can't change the past, the present, or how old we are. They don't think about what they used to have. They think about what they have now. They know that pain doesn't need a special day. You don't need an audience to grow, and you don't need a calendar to be thankful. They don't find peace in celebration. They find it in silence, the type that lets them look inside instead of outside. Many people have mixed feelings about their birthdays. They can bring up silent grief beneath the cake and candles, a feeling of time slipping away, of times missed, and of those who are no longer here. People who choose not to celebrate their birthdays aren't necessarily rejecting happiness. They just know how deeply time and memory can hurt. Their choice is not based on apathy, but rather on emotional accuracy, a form of knowledge that shields the spirit from unwarranted turmoil. These people know what the Stoics termed the discipline of assent, which is the ability to pick which thoughts and feelings are worth paying attention to. Epictetus argued that our judgments about events, not the events themselves, cause us pain. By that logic, birthdays aren't always happy or sad. They're neutral. The power they have comes from the meaning we give them. So people who don't celebrate their birthdays quietly get that power back. They decide not to give an arbitrary date any emotional weight, which frees them from the emotional baggage that comes with it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Time is like a river of events that are always happening, and its current is strong. As soon as something comes into view, it is swept away, and something else takes its place." People who treat their birthday like any other day are aware of this. They don't strive to stop time or hold on to the idea that things will always be the same. They've come to terms with the fact that memory and death are linked. To live fully, one must cease trying to hold on to the past. This way of thinking is what modern scholars call temporal detachment, which means being able to live in the flow of time without holding on to its markers. These people aren't cut off from their feelings. They're cut off from the hold of nostalgia. They don't need to remember or relive things to prove that they are real. They are at peace because they can move on without the emotional baggage that most people carry around. This doesn't imply they don't have feelings. In reality, they often have deeper, more precious memories than other people. They just keep them to themselves. Their memory is private, not for show. They don't long for the past. Instead, they are thankful for it. When they consider the future, they do so with tranquility, not dread. They've learned that time isn't something to be celebrated once a year. It's something to be respected every day. Seneca said that most individuals waste their lives by acting like they will live forever. He stated, "It's not that we don't have much time to live, it's that we waste a lot of it." People who don't celebrate their birthdays know this. For them, introspection is something they do every day, not just on certain days. Every calm morning, every mindful thought, and every time they are there for someone else is a way for them to celebrate. They don't wait for big events to see how much they've grown. They live as if every day is a chance to start over. They have a close and honest relationship with time. They know that the past can't be changed, the future can't be known, and the present is the only true place they own. So they guard their focus very closely. They don't let the memories of what used to be or the worry of what's next ruin the peace of today. For them, not celebrating a birthday isn't about disregarding life. It's about totally embracing it. It's a gentle way of saying that no calendar can show how the soul grows. They don't need to count the years to know they've grown. Their strength is shown by how calm they are, how clear their minds are, and how they can stay grounded while time goes on. And in that silence, they find something that most people lose while seeking celebration: the serenity of being present, the serene realization that life is not a sequence of events, but a continuous moment. In their calm, they embody the core tenets of Stoicism: to exist in harmony with nature, impervious to the passage of time, unaffected by deception, and liberated from the desire for validation. They've found internal validation. People who treat their birthday like any other day have typically attained a rare level of psychological maturity where they don't need other people to tell them they're doing well. They don't need to be reminded that they are important. They don't need presents to feel important. They get their sense of self-worth from inside themselves. Marcus Aurelius said it best when he said, "The quality of your thoughts determines the happiness of your life." They don't evaluate life by applause. They measure it by how well they live by their ideals, how honestly they act, and how well they know themselves. This inner validation provides them a sense of calm that most people never find. They don't look for satisfaction in how other people see them anymore. They find it in their own growth, discipline, and sense of purpose. It takes a lot of work to get this kind of internal confirmation. You have to live a disciplined life and think about yourself all the time. These people have spent years getting to know themselves, analyzing their intentions, and getting rid of the desire for acceptance. They recognize that depending on praise from others is risky, since it can go away in an instant, leaving them feeling empty. They remove themselves from this incessant need by finding their sense of value within themselves. Epictetus said, "Don't try to explain your philosophy, live it." People who miss birthdays live this lesson every day. They don't have to tell everyone about their accomplishments or milestones. Their life is a proof of their beliefs. They do the right thing not to get praise, but because it fits with who they want to be. Their celebration is quiet, private, and internal, which shows their integrity rather than what other people think. This kind of thinking makes people more resilient mentally. When life eventually disappoints, or others fail to acknowledge their presence, their sense of self stays intact. They don't let criticism, jealousy, or praise get to them. Their confidence comes from mastering yourself, and their happiness comes from being true to their ideals instead than getting acclaim from a crowd. Seneca reportedly said, "The only way to be happy forever is to have a good character." People who have acquired internal validation know that living in line with virtue does not require a birthday card or social post to offer what is necessary. The real celebrations of their life are living each day with purpose, making each choice with honesty, and being self-disciplined at all times. They don't need other people to validate them in their relationships and social interactions. They don't try to get attention by manipulating people, and they don't need continual praise. Instead, they build relationships based on trust, honesty, and respect for each other. For them, one honest interaction is worth more than 100 fake ones. This is why their birthdays go by without a fuss. They don't have to assess their worth by what society says or by planned rituals. People don't need to acknowledge others because they already know and cherish their own worth. And in this self-sufficiency, they find a freedom that most people never know. The freedom to live fully, to act with purpose, and to find peace inside themselves without relying on anybody else. They have turned what may have been concern about age, milestones, or societal attention into a quiet, lasting strength by finding validation within themselves. They determine their own success, and that independence brings them deep peace. They focus on legacy, not occasions. People who don't celebrate birthdays think about the future. They don't care about making this day unique. They care about making this life worth living. The issue of legacy is very important in Stoic thinking. Seneca said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." For these people, the important question isn't how many birthdays they've had. It's what they've done in between. They don't count the years. They count the impact, the habits formed, the discipline cultivated, the individuals assisted, and the knowledge acquired. This way of thinking shows that you are conscious of your own existence. You know that the meaning of life is in how you live it, not in what you celebrate. They think that meaning isn't about passing the time, but about dominating it. So instead of thinking about how old they are, these people think about how they've changed. They celebrate every day by waking up, getting better, and growing. They also prioritize their energy and attention differently, since they care more about legacy than events. People who don't celebrate birthdays spend their time on things that last longer than short celebrations, such planning parties, sending invitations, buying gifts, and posting updates online. They are committed to learning, improving themselves, and building deep, lasting relationships. They know that real influence isn't shown for a day. It's created quietly, steadily, and on purpose over a lifetime. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius tells us, "Don't want what you don't have. Instead, focus on the best and most beautiful things you have, and think about how much you would miss them if you didn't have them." Every day is a chance for them to use their talents, improve their skills, and make a difference in other people's lives. The idea of a special day is not as important to them because they have already given meaning to the everyday flow of life. This way of thinking also shows a deep grasp of death. They know that every year that goes by is a reminder that time is limited. So instead of fretting or holding on to tradition, they act with purpose. Epictetus stated, "You shouldn't be afraid of death or pain. You should be afraid of being afraid of death or pain." People who don't celebrate their birthdays learn this lesson. They aren't terrified of getting older. They don't want to waste it. By focusing on legacy, they turn the fear of becoming older into a reason to do something worthwhile. This gives you a very clear idea of what your priorities are. They recognize which relationships to work on, which habits to keep up, and which activities are worth their time. Milestones aren't reasons to celebrate anymore. They're reasons to think about whether I'm getting closer to the life I want to leave behind. Have I done the right thing today? Every moment is judged by how much it helps, how much it grows, and how well it fits with personal values. They build patience and resilience by thinking about their legacy instead of events. Short-term failures like missing an award, forgetting a birthday, or failing a plan don't hurt as much since they see things from a long-term point of view. They know that the real gains in life take decades, not days, to see, and this long-term view protects them from the small disappointments that bother so many others. In this perspective, birthdays don't mean anything anymore. They are just marks on a timeline, not the most important things that show value. What important is how you live each day, how you build your character, and how you use your wisdom. The true celebration is always going on, in the habit of discipline, in acts of compassion, and in the peaceful quest of mastery. In the end, they live a life that is lasting, meaningful, and self-directed by focusing on their legacy. They have learned that the most meaningful way to acknowledge someone's presence is not with acclaim from others, but with the understanding that they have lived with purpose, honesty, and a constant focus on what really matters. Their birthday, like every other day, is just another chance to make a mark that will stay long after they are gone. They find celebration in everyday life. Here's the strange thing. People who don't celebrate their birthdays often do more than anyone else, but not in the usual ways. They enjoy tranquil mornings, calm thoughts, work that matters, laughing with loved ones, and times of quietness. They are happy just to be alive, not because of ceremonies. Epictetus stated, "A wise man does not mourn what he lacks, but celebrates what he possesses." This is a wonderful description of them. They've learned that you don't need noise, attention, or rituals to celebrate. It just needs thanks. They find little things to be thankful for every day, which is more powerful than one big celebration once a year. They don't think coldly. It's awake. It's the knowledge that every day is just as holy, just as full of chances to develop, think, and love silently. Their way of living actually changes the commonplace into something amazing. People find enjoyment in small everyday moments, like the warmth of sunlight coming through a window, a meaningful discussion, finishing a task with care, or the quiet satisfaction of learning something new. These are the small milestones that really make a life worth living. "Dwell on the beauty of life," wrote Marcus Aurelius. "Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." People who don't celebrate their birthdays take this to heart. They don't need candles or a big show to be alive. They discover wonder in the small things that most people miss. Their celebration is an important part of their lives, not something that society expects them to do. This shows that you have learned how to focus and be thankful. They create a constant feeling of fulfillment by paying attention to the little things that matter in each day. For them, happiness is not something to strive for once a year. It is always there in the ordinary, and it grows stronger when they are aware of it and appreciate it. They know that life is made up of short moments, and that each one can be appreciated without a lot of fuss. Their happiness is also strong. It can't be readily shaken by disappointment, absence, or change, because it doesn't rely on outside validation or material markers. A peaceful morning, a shared grin, or a personal success is just as important as a big party, because the people who celebrate these things do so because they feel good about themselves, not because they want to please or be recognized by others. The Stoics called this tranquillitas animi, or serenity of the soul, and it is embodied by those who forego their birthdays. They have changed the focus from counting years to living in the moment. Their lives are not marked by random dates, but by constant awareness, thankfulness, and presence. In the end, their method teaches a very important lesson. that the most important part of a celebration is not the ceremony, but being able to see the value of life every day. For them, every morning is a chance to celebrate. Every act of kindness is a reason to be happy, and every breath is a silent party. They've learned that living each day to the fullest and with gratitude is much more important than any one event that society has called a birthday. People who don't celebrate their birthdays aren't weird, antisocial, or emotionless. In fact, they are typically the most emotionally mature people you know. They've just moved past the need for other people to approve of them. They know that time doesn't need to be celebrated. It has to be used properly. They've let go of their vanity and learnt what it really means to be simple. They live with humility, appreciation, and purpose, which is what Stoic philosophy is all about. So if someone forgets your birthday or doesn't care about it, don't think they're being rude. They might perhaps know something deeper, that life doesn't need a reminder to be appreciated. It just needs to be lived well.